questioning and all. So we go for in that way. And for the time being, we have selected few questions, general questions. And so we are start with discussing with them, and we collect all the questions from YouTube. And ma'am, it's little bit motivational talks, right? So please, you can go for motivational purpose. You can write, and suggestions are valuable for everyone. Shoma?
We are live, Shiv.
Okay.
I'll start the recording now.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. It's a new series, but it is our 55 webinar in this series. So that format is little bit different, as we did a 1 hour and more than 1 hour long talk in others format. But now today we are going for the 20 minutes talk and a combined discussion section up and at the end of the talk. And as you know, the topics are not hardcore plant science today. It's specifically designed for young minds, though have very many questions about their careers, their professions and interest. Please free to ask the questions in YouTube. We are collect all the questions and go for the discussion section at combined. So let's start 4 talks. Then we go for the questions answer round. And for today, the discussion section will be conducted by Dr. Tamina Islam from University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. Shoma will help me to introduce the Bioengine and introduce all the speakers. And for the certificate, as usual, at the end, we provide the feedback link. Please submit your feedback link with the same email ID which you have registered during the webinar registrations. So Shoma, please start, and we go for accordingly we are proceeding. So first introduce, and Nivethida ma'am also.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everyone. Today is another very special Bioengine event. Today Bioengine is celebrating women in science. Yesterday was International Women's Day. And it's a warm welcome to all the women and everyone who is listening today. Many of our young viewers know that what Bioengine is. We promote plant sciences, education, and soft skills, among many other things. So as I'm talking about International Women's Day, on behalf of Bioengine, we congratulate them all who have contributed so much to society and science. And on this note, we have introduced a very special series on our Bioengine platform named Women in Science to celebrate women empowerment throughout the year. Based on many suggestions and requests and comments from all of you viewers, this series has been specially planned for our diversified viewers, especially the young global audience. The women from science and industry will share their insights with you on various interesting topics. To know more, stay connected to bioengine.com. You can register for all our webinars through our website, bioengine.com, and social media pages and live view on our YouTube channel. Video recordings of our events are available on YouTube channel. After attending today's talk, you can apply for a certificate of participation via the feedback link, which will be provided after the presentation. The panel discussion and question and answer session will be at the end of today's event. I request all our viewers that while typing in your questions in the YouTube chat, please also mention the speaker's name whom you want to ask your particular question. So we have with us today a gorgeous panel of amazing women who are experts in their respective fields. Dr. Rohini Garg, Dr. Nivethida, Dr. Veda Krishnan, and Dr. Pooja Devi. A warm welcome to all of you. We will start today's event with a very interesting topic. I'm sure you young researchers and who are interested in a career in science will be very interested in this topic. It is about writing fellowship applications for a career in research. This will be presented by Dr. Nivethida, who graduated with an MBBS from JIPMER Pondicherry, followed by a master's in biomedical engineering from IIT Bombay. She then did her PhD in neuroscience with Professor Michael Nitsch at the University of Göttingen, Germany, and a 5-year postdoc with Dr. Mark Hallett at the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, Bethesda, USA. She is currently assistant professor at the Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering, IIT Bombay, where she leads the Human Motor Neurophysiology and Neuromodulation Lab. Her research focuses on understanding the role of neural oscillations in human motor control and in the pathophysiology of movement disorders, and further employing non-invasive brain stimulations to perturb abnormal behavior. Dr. Nivethida is the DBT Wellcome Trust India Alliance Clinical Research Fellow and a recipient of the Har Gobind Khorana Innovative Young Biotechnologist Award. She is also a member of the Indian National Young Academy of Sciences. We welcome you, Dr. Nivethida. Please, the platform is all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the kind introduction, and thanks Bioingene for having me here today. Can I just share my screen now?
Yes, please. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I think it is. Just give me a minute. I had.
Sure.
No problem. There is in the middle, there is a green button.
No, I think I have to just quit and reopen because my Zoom has a problem.
No problem.
Give me just 1 minute.
No issue, ma'am. For all the participants, please, it would be better if you able to put the name of the speakers and also give your actual name, not the channel name. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand. And if possible, put your country also, so we can understand that questions from which country and which participants are asking to us. And I'm sure we are already make a list of questions which will be helpful for everyone, and we also collect the different type of questions from YouTube. Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible now. Ma'am, you are, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, it's fine, ma'am.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Fine.
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and happy International Women's Day to all of you. And so as Soma pointed out, I'm basically a neuroscientist. I do the clinical research involving patients with movement disorders. And I'm nowhere related to plant sciences, but I think the topic that I'm going to discuss today is relevant to anybody who is doing science. And I tried to cater it more towards a generic audience rather than, say, biomedical sciences. So I would talk about a few fellowships and PhD and postdoctoral fellowships, and how to write an effective fellowship application for either PhD or postdoctoral work. So first of all, why do you actually need a fellowship? So you would probably, when you're looking for a PhD or a postdoc position, you're looking for labs which have open positions where the PI would actually have a project which is funded for manpower. So which means the PI will hire you under a specific project. But why do you need something like a fellowship if that is the case? So first thing, it definitely looks great on your CV. So if you have your own fellowship, it means that you have earned it. You are eligible, or you're capable of. It shows that you're capable of writing independently and thinking of a research proposal that is innovative and completely your idea. And during this process of writing a fellowship, whether you get the fellowship or not, writing a fellowship application itself will offer valuable exposure, and it would be a great learning experience for anybody who does this, because during this process, you consolidate all that you have learned till now and do a lot of literature review. You're looking for a lot of new ideas, and you discuss with many people. So I think your knowledge, you expand your knowledge to probably newer fields, and also update your literature in the field. Also, this kind of fellowship not only just gives your salary, but also gives you additional funds for travel and contingency, which you might find very useful during your PhD or postdoctoral work. And a little bit of independence and flexibility. So if you have a fellowship, you're kind of independent. You're not dependent on your PI's project for funding, and also gives the flexibility with which would help you to move to a different lab in case something doesn't work out, or you find the project or the lab environment which not very conducive for you. You always have the option of moving to a different place, or maybe for personal reasons you need to move elsewhere. You can take your fellowship and move to a different place. So that gives you that flexibility. And frankly speaking, PIs are looking for students, and obviously they give more preference to PhD students and postdocs who do have a fellowship of their own. And most of these fellowships are very prestigious, and these fellowships, they do have a very close community of peer network and alumni network, which would offer you a lot of networking and mentoring opportunities. So these are very valuable additions when you have a fellowship instead of just a postdoc position or a PhD position in any place. So just in the next couple of slides, I'll just list out the different PhD and postdoctoral fellowships that are available for Indian students at the national as well as international level. And towards the end of my presentation, there is a link from where I actually took the list from. So this might not be updated. I think most of it is updated. So most of you must be knowing about the JRF, the Junior Research Fellowship offered by DBT, CSIR, or ICMR. The Inspire Fellowship offered by DBT, the PMRF, the Prime Minister Research Fund from the Ministry of Education, and the Women in Science Fellowship offered by DST, that's exclusively for women candidates who've had a career break either before or after a PhD. The international PhD fellowships would be the World Academy of Sciences Fellowship for doing a PhD in South Africa, and also the DAAD fellowship from Germany. So details of these fellowship, I would give you the links from one of the publications of India Bioscience, where you can go in to look for details, which is available online as well. So the postdoctoral fellowships include the research associateships offered by DBT or CSIR, the National Postdoctoral Fellowship by CSIR, the Dr. D.S. Kothari Postdoctoral Fellowship by UGC, the Neuroscience Postdoctoral Fellowship by CSIR, Inspire Faculty Fellowship by DST, the Biocare program by DBT, which offers funding for any new PI, only women PI, who've not had any grant till now. So for their first grant, Biocare would be a very good opportunity to get a good grant for starting a new lab. following a brief postdoctoral stint. And again, you have the Women in Science Fellowship by the DST. So the Branko-Weiss Fellowship is mainly based at ETH Zurich, but then it gives funding to do postdoctoral work anywhere in the world. So which means it's pretty competitive, but then if your application is good enough, you could get the money and join postdoctoral fellowship anywhere in any lab in the world. So that gives you the flexibility, which I actually told you about. Then you have these international postdoctoral fellowships offered by the European Molecular Biology Organization, the Human Frontier Science Program, the Newton International Fellowship Program, the Humboldt Research. The Newton program is with the UK. The Humboldt Research Fellowship is with Germany. The Marie Curie Individual Fellowship is with any European country, and the NIH Postdoctoral Intramural Research Training Award is at NIH in US. So these some of these are could be an exchange fellowship wherein you do part of the postdoctoral work in India and the other portion in the other host country. But some of them could be a full-time postdoctoral fellowship abroad. So I'm not going into details of what the eligibility criteria and how you should apply and all the details about these fellowships. You can find that in the individual websites or also in the link that I will provide you later on. But what I want to talk today in detail is about how do you write an effective fellowship application. So you know this is a fellowship, these are the opportunities that you have. How can you have a successful fellowship application? So there are 4 steps in which I would take you through very briefly through each of these 4 steps. The first one is identifying the need, second, understanding the grant review process, third, planning your research proposal, and fourth, preparing your fellowship application. So when I mean identifying the need, I mean to say who would be interested in your proposal, to identify the funding agency that would be interested in your proposal. Somebody who would think that your project or your idea, scientific idea is of interest to them and would be willing to fund that particular idea of yours. So that is identifying the need. And for this, you need to understand the scope and objectives of the fellowship. So you know that there are several fellowships, PhD or postdoctoral fellowships, but then each of them have a different mandate. So some say ICMR is more focused towards health research, whereas DBT is more related to biotechnology, and SIRB is more on the engineering front, the science and engineering front. So it's more about understanding the scope and objectives. So what kind of research do each of these fellowship or funding agencies sponsor? So that is most important. Say, for example, the HFSP research grant program. So the HFSP, the Human Frontier Science Program, offers postdoctoral as well as postdoctoral fellowships as well as research grants. But the main qualification or the main eligibility to apply for an HFSP grant is that the research should be innovative basic research, and it should be novel and interdisciplinary approaches. So which means you cannot, if it's a routine proposal which can be funded by the usual national medical research bodies or any kind of applied research, is not going to be funded by the HFSP. So which means, which goes to say that if you have an idea which is more towards applied research, then you should not even consider applying to HFSP. And again, it should be completely interdisciplinary approach is what they look for. And especially with postdoctoral fellowships, they look for applicants who want to switch fields, completely different, so doing multidisciplinary research. But then, so that is something, if you want to continue in the same field, then there is no point in applying for a HFSP postdoctoral fellowship. So that is what I meant by saying you have to understand the scope and objectives of the fellowship first. So if you are even applying for these fellowships without understanding the scope of the fellowship or the funding agency, then you probably, even at the letter of intent, at the first, even at the grants advisor level or the project officer who is just reviewing your proposal, just looking at your eligibility criteria, is going to reject your grant. It will not even go for review. So which means that you should be sure that you as a candidate and your proposal as a good scientific idea is within the scope of the funding agency and this fellowship program that you're applying for. So this, if every fellowship website, say the Humboldt Fellowship or the EMBO fellowships, they do have a list of selection criteria or the eligibility criteria that they list. And so before applying, you need to go through each of these criteria in detail, and make sure that you satisfy all of these, not just one, but all of these. So if there are exceptions, then you can even write to the person, the contact person of the agency, and ask if you have any clarifications whether you would be eligible or not. That saves you time from writing the entire fellowship application and then submitting it and then realizing that you are not even eligible for the fellowship. So second thing is you need to understand how your application would be reviewed. That is very important, because who will review your application, how it would be reviewed is important to know, because that is how you can effectively write your application. So, or the language that you use, the way that you write, all this will be important for you. For you only if you know how your application is going to be reviewed. So the first step of any application process is administrative screening. So this is where I said your grants advisor or the scientific officer or a project officer is going to review your eligibility for that particular fellowship program. So that is the administrative screening. So here there is no science that is being reviewed at all. So once you satisfy the eligibility criteria, then your application goes in for peer review. So here usually there are 2 or maybe even 3 reviewers who will go through your application, and not all 3. So they're all going to be people within, say, for example, biological sciences, but they may not be an expert in plant sciences, or it may not be an expert in your field of plant sciences. So let's put it that way. So it's more for a generic scientific audience, but still scientifically qualified audience. So which means that most of your application should be targeted such that the generic scientific audience, general scientific audience, would be able to understand the way you have written your application. And then once these 3 reviewers, so one of these 2 or 3 might be an expert in your field. So then you go, once the scores are given by each of these individual reviewers, then there is a final shortlisting of all the recommended proposals, which would be discussed with in an expert committee. So then you would have an expert in the field who reviews your application, and then finally the committee would come up with a final list of proposals that they will discuss and recommend for funding. So which means that your application has to go through 3 levels of review in most of the grant process. So one is the administrative screening, second is the generic audience, and third is an expert audience. So which means that your application should not be too simple that the expert does not find it very interesting and does not feel that there are not enough details in your application. And at the same time, the generic audience should not feel that it is too technical for them to understand and there are a lot of details. So there should be a real nice balance in your application, the way you formulate your application. So this is this is again taken from the Humboldt Fellowship website, wherein they just say that they also follow the same. The first process, the first 4 to 6 weeks, they check the eligibility and completeness of the application. And then it goes into the independent peer review, followed by a selection committee meeting, and finally acceptance or rejection of the application. So when the application goes in for review, so now you say you're eligible and then your application is going in for review. How do reviewers actually score them? So there are most of the grant processes, grants or fellowship applications are scored under 5 categories. One, and the importance given to each of these categories might differ depending upon what kind of grant it is or a fellowship it is. So if it is an individual fellowship, then the investigator is actually given more weightage than the science, or slightly the proposal is given slightly less weightage than the qualifications of the investigator. But when it when it is going to be a more project related grant, then the science is given a slightly higher weightage than the actual investigators. So some kind of changes in weightage would be there depending upon the kind of grant that you're applying for. But in all applications, people do, and around the world, they do consider all of these 5 criteria. So one is the significance of the research. So how significant significant, what is a significant contribution your research, your proposed research is going to bring about in your field of work. Second, the qualification of the investigators, that is the PIs and the co-PIs and collaborators. Are they suitable and qualified enough? What is your academic credential? What are the academic credentials and academic achievements of the investigator? Then, how innovative your proposal is. So here, significance is different from innovation. That means how novel your idea is to the field, and what are the approaches that you use to address your research question. And finally, the infrastructure and the facilities that you have in the host institution where you plan to conduct the research. So these are the 5 criteria that your application would be assessed or evaluated on. So then how do you start writing a proposal? So now you know where to apply. Second, you know how your application is going to be evaluated, and now you have to plan your proposal, write a research proposal. This might not be required for, say, a JRF exam or something like that, but other fellowship applications do require you to submit a research, say the AB or the MBO research fellowship. So they do require you to submit a research proposal. So how do you identify a research question? So first thing is you need to what all of them do expect is that for you to showcase how your proposed research is different from your PhD work, or is different from the work that your PhD supervisor has been carrying out, or your immediate postdoc supervisor is carrying out in his or her lab. So you have to really identify your niche, clearly identify how your work is going to be different from your past work. So for that, what you would have to do is read literature. So the more you read, the more ideas you get. The best way to start off with is to start off reading review articles, which are written by popular experts in your field. And then you can look for the future line of work. So that would give you ideas as to what is actually lacking. And then you some aspect of that, if it interests you, then you go and read more deeply into it. Then you can obviously discussing with lab mates, friends, collaborators, mentors definitely helps, and meeting people in conferences and networking definitely helps. And then you have to find okay, specifically when it comes to reviewing your fellowship application, it's always good to talk to people who have served, be it your PI or another faculty in your department who's been on the review committee. It will be helpful if you can discuss with them what is exactly expected from a proposal, from an application. So, and then talk to successful applicants, people who have already gotten the fellowship, and ask them for advice. What are the do's and don'ts in your application? So so many of these websites do give you contacts or give you details about the proposals that have been already funded. So that would give you an idea. Going through these will give you an idea of what kind of work has been funded in the past by the same funding agency. So these would be tips for you to plan your research proposal. So once you have your idea, you need to prepare your application. So this itself is probably a day-long seminar or a webinar that can be conducted, how to prepare your grant application. But I just give you, and it always helps to attend in one of these grant writing courses that are offered by either EMBO or India Alliance, because they are very generic, but very, very useful, because you will realize what points you need to focus on and what you should not be doing in your fellowship application. So these grant writing workshops definitely help. And then basically, I'll just tell you that the focus of the application should be to answer 3 questions. One is, why the science? Why is it important to answer the scientific question that you are posing in your application? Second, why the funding agency that you're applying to is appropriate to fund this kind of work? And third, why you should be doing the science, why you are the best person to address this research question. So if you can answer these 3 questions convincingly in your application, then you have done justice to your effort. So then if it is clear to you, then it is the answer to these 3 questions. If you make these it clear to the reviewers, then I think you would have a successful application. So just wrapping up in the last 2 minutes, these are the resources. So I told you the list of fellowships that are available at the PhD and postdoctoral students level. So these are the resources published by India Bioscience, which gives you details of, including eligibility criteria and when the application opens and how frequently you can apply, and all details for each of the fellowships that I had mentioned earlier. So this is the first volume was for PhD and postdocs, and the second volume is for early career and mid-career researchers in India. So these are very good starting points and very nicely compiled versions of the existing funding opportunities in India as well as internationally for researchers in India. Also, the India Bioscience website gives you, it has a portion on a section on International Grants Awareness Program, wherein you have interviews by the program officers and also with past recipients of the same fellowships, say the Marie Curie or the DAD program or the EMBO programs. So these videos are available on their YouTube channel as well, and so you can go and have a look at them. Also, INYAS, Indian National Young Academy of Sciences, organizes since last year, has started organizing this workshop, Prayojan. We will also have another one coming up this year in late April, where where it will be a 2-day webinar series, wherein we're discussing about research opportunities for post-PhD candidates in India and abroad. And then we have, you also have opportunities like the National Postdoctoral Symposium and the Young Investigators Meeting, depending upon which level of how many years of experience post-PhD you are. So these meetings happen annually, and they are pretty much useful for networking as well as getting more information on opportunities that are available in the country. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am.
I hope it was not too long.
No, ma'am, it's okay. It's just 22 minutes. It's okay. And Shoma, please introduce.
Yes. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Nivethida, ma'am.
Now Pooja, ma'am. Yes, and thanks, ma'am. Well, we collect few questions, and after that,
just give them some time.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to our very interesting next topic, that is setting up a successful lab, takeaways from my own journey by Dr. Pooja. Dr. Pooja is working as a principal scientist at CSIR-Central Scientific Instruments Organization. She has done her PhD in engineering sciences from the CSIR, New Delhi, and MTech in nanotechnology from the Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. Her research interests includes materials design for hydrogen production, water or air pollutants degradation, and water pollutants monitoring. She is the recipient of several prestigious awards and fellowships, including the NACI Young Scientist Platinum Jubilee Award 2021, the IEI Young Engineer Award, the INAE Young Engineer Award 2020, the ACRB Women Excellence Award 2020, the Young Associateship of Indian Academy of Science 2019-2022, the Haryana Yuva Vigyan Ratna Award 2019, the Young Scientist Award 2019 from Indian Science Congress Association. She is currently serving as a core committee member of the Indian Young National Academy of Science, INYAS, in New Delhi. She has represented India at several international platforms, including BRICS, Young Scientist Conclave, and Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Young Scientist Conclave. She has been recently listed under the eminent 125 Women in Science by the Confederation of Indian Industry Compendium released by PSA 2022. We are honored to have you with us today, Dr. Pooja, and the platform is all yours now.
Thank you, Soma. First of all, I would like to thank organizing committee for having me here. And I must congratulate Nivethida for a very informative session. Even I got to learn many things, which I would pass on definitely to the students in my network in life sciences. So a very nice talk. Let me start by sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So I'm decided to talk about setting up a lab after joining any position. So I would try to connect all the learnings that I had in my journey and some takeaway messages which I think I could give to the early career researchers and which they could apply in their own case, or maybe some suggestion they could get out of it. So I would give a little bit of reflection about my own experience in terms of starting from my education to my research level, and what did help me to realize what I wanted to achieve in this particular, or the way I wanted to contribute in the domain of R&D, and currently also. So I think since the audience is wider, probably the viewers would be from different countries. So I will not go more into the detail of it. So I did my basic education from a very small school in Haryana state in India. And then I did my secondary education from another school in another district in Haryana, which is Kurukshetra. So the transition from here to the higher secondary school was the language thing which I had, which the problem I had faced, and which I could overcome by hard work. Then I did my undergraduation from engineering college, which is again based in Haryana. I did my BTech in biotechnology, and after that I did my master's in nanotechnology from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, through GATE exam, which is a competitive exam conducted in India. And during this time, actually, I had an exposure of the research and development through short-term internship. So I think that is where I started getting my interest towards in the domain of research and development. So I could do some work in the at NDRI Karnal and then CSIR-NPL. These are premier laboratory in India. Then also I had an opportunity to had an international exposure during my post-graduation program, and I could get the Commonwealth Fellowship and visit one of the university in Canada. So that early international exposure at the postgraduate level, you can see it broadened my vision, and also broadened the opportunities which are available in the area of research and development. So that is very much important. I think if we want to attract the student in the domain of science, STEM, or especially research, giving them an early exposure definitely help. That is what even I got benefited from. So as far as my professional experience is concerned, after my MTech, I could join CSIR, which is, a network of laboratories, 37 laboratories in India, and one of the oldest, you can say, network of laboratories in India, which was established before independence. So I could join CSIR, a base lab in Chandigarh, after my MTech on ad hoc period, and then I got regularized in 2012. And during my appointment as a scientist, as a faculty, I also pursued my PhD from the Academy of CSIR. We call it as ACSIR. And currently I'm working as a principal scientist. So it's been more than 13-year experience for me in the CSIR laboratory. So since we have an audience from the wider spectrum, so I also take then opportunity to give an overview about the institute organization where I do belong. So CSIR is, it's a network of 37 laboratories all across the country, and it's a society which was registered in pre-independence era, and the president of our society is the current Prime Minister. So currently we have Mr. Narendra Modi serving as the president of the society. So this is the only society where the Prime Minister of country is heading the society as a president. And after that, we have the Science and Technology Minister, which acts as a vice president of CSIR. So the involvement of the political leadership as a president and vice president is also, it shows the engagement of the leadership for the science and technology environment, increasing or improving the science and technology environment in the country. Then we have the Director General, who is heading the overall 37 laboratories. So currently we have Dr. N. Kalaiselvi as the DG CSIR. She is the first, I would say, in the history of CSIR, she is the first lady Director General. And that itself is a great achievement achieved, you can say, since we are having this webinar on the occasion of International Women's Day. So we have seen a change that is happening in our society, acceptance of women in the leadership level and also at the different position level. So this is one of the positive change CSIR is adapting, and not only at DG level, at director level, there are very good representation of women directors as a leader of different laboratories of CSIR. So just to give an overview, Dr. Kalaiselvi, she is known for her work in the area of energy, where she is known for her main work in the area of lithium-ion batteries, developing various kind of electrodes, materials, electrolytes, and also fuel cells. Many of these technologies are, available to the industries, and one of the fuel cell which is based on this technology, hybrid fuel cell based technology. Vehicles are also now running on Indian roads. The overall 37 laboratories cluster of the CSIR, they are basically classified according to the domain they are working, like the biological sciences or chemical sciences, engineering sciences, IT or physical. So we are covering a complete spectrum of different domain of research and development, and each lab is having its own focused area. CSIR as an organization has contributed immensely in Indian SMT ecosystem. To give an overview to the viewers who are watching and also getting to know about this prestigious platform, being it starting in the early years of the independence, so there was certain demand from the countryside, like having milk formula as a baby food, which was not available in India, and the import was also not possible. So that time, one of our CSR laboratory called CSIR-CFTRI developed these indigenous formulation, and is now quite popular, and by the Amul, which is a very prestigious brand in India, is basically commercializing it. So you can see at that time, when the demand arose, the CSIR scientists rose to its level and came up with the solution. Likewise, being a very highly populated country and also a democratic country, ensuring the fair election is also very important challenge in a democracy. And so that time, one of the CSIR laboratory came up with a unique composition or a unique ink. We call it as an indelible ink, which is used to make sure that the elections are made fair and there is no double voting or cross voting by the participants. So this indelible ink is used as on today as well in India, as also this is exported to several countries all around. So another one of the major contributions, one of the CSR lab, which is more or less engaged in drug related research, did develop kind of contrast for the controlling the birth and also controlling the as a contraceptive drug. They came up with this, and this is quite popular in Indian scenario. In recent times, if I talk about, these were certain example or success story of CSIR. In recent time, if I tell, one of our CSIR laboratory based in Chandigarh, IMTech, they came up with a very unique new formulation as for the clot busting, and this is commercialized at very high level. CSIR labs has been engaged in various DNA fingerprinting programs in India, and CCMB and IGIB are the major laboratory which are working in this particular direction. Recently, one of our laboratories came up with the new technology to convert the steel slag, which is one of the major waste generated by the steel industries in India, and convert that steel waste into the very effective and efficient roads as an alternate to existing construction technologies for the roads. Also various kind of chemicals, if we talk about their manufacturing, are one of laboratory based in Pune. CSIR National Chemical Laboratory is extensively working in this particular area. And now coming to the institution where I belong, I work in the institute called CSIR-Central Scientific Instrument Organization, which is based in Chandigarh. And my institute majorly work in developing solution systems in the area of avionics, medical instrumentation, prosthetic devices, strategic sector, advanced materials-based technologies. So being from a material science, I majorly contributing towards developing materials and system around those materials. So one of our laboratory's key contribution had been in the area of developing indigenous head-up display for indigenous light compact aircraft, and this is one of the premier or key technology in the indigenous aircraft Tejas, which is flying in the sky. And this was India is, I think, among the top three or four countries which is having these technologies of their own. And CSIR is also promoting various cultivation of aromatic plants and also indigenization of one of the major plant called as hing, which is used very frequently in Indian kitchens. So Indian scientists or CSIR scientists have shown their cultivation in Indian environment itself with a target so that we can come to a level to export this particular item rather than importing it. Now coming to my own journey, like I said, I started with as a scientist in 2010. And then I started, you can see, currently I'm working as a principal scientist. In this period, I finished my PhD. And so you can see I finished my PhD in 2012, where I started my PhD in 2012. So before that, you could see when you are joining in engineering lab, without the doctorate degree, it becomes challenging. You cannot have a direct group because your PhD students acts as a group with which you can implement your ideas. So the only resource person that I had when I joined was only the trainee students, which comes for their exchange program for like 6 months internship or maybe 4 months internship, and the project staff. So what I want to convey that even after like being not having a resourceful PhD students after joining, I try to do best. I try to train the students which I could get in the form of the trainees as well as the project staff, and I try to build or implement my ideas based on that. And as a result, I could do some good quality research work, and our group has published quite good number of publications, edited several books, and also developed several technologies, filed patents around them, and also we have transferred some technology to the industries which are at the commercial level. And the work also got several recognition by national and international platform. So the message I would want to convey here is that when we talk about building a successful lab, what the thing one can take is having best use of the resources which are available with you. That could also result into some productive output. It depends upon how you are utilizing those resources rather than waiting for something good to happen. That is the message I would want to convey from here. And I would like to tell, like, when I started my PhD in 2012, in PhD itself, I tried to give my best, get best outcome from my doctoral study itself. The best part being also as a scientist, I could translate my PhD work into the technologies, into the ideas, into the product, which is also the mandate of my institute. So in my PhD, I could publish some good number of publications and also filed a patent and develop some prototypes around it. And in this journey, like while doing my PhD, I also tried to have an exposure through international fellowships, through international exchange program. Like Nivethida told in previous talk, it is important to have networking. And if you to build the network, it is important to travel through whether it's a national fellowship or international fellowship, any kind of grant, any kind of opportunities you are getting. It's important to make best, to go after it, to put your best foot forward and try to get best out of it. So during my PhD time, I had that I tried to do the best in this particular direction, and also could associate with some of the science academies of the countries, which did give me a better edge, better networking, better learnings from other colleagues. So that is what I want to convey as a message. Now, as far as my research profile is concerned, I'm basically a material scientist by training. And so why I'm saying as by training, my personal experience says you learn more when you perform rather than just, going through the textbook. So during my internship or during my international exposure as a UG or PG student, I had a very good training, good exposure in the area of material science. So that excited me more rather than what I was reading in my BTech as biotechnology. The reason could be I didn't have that much exposure in terms of the training in this particular field. That was probably the reason I got more inclined towards the area of material science. So I'm working in the area of materials where I'm working towards various, like I started working with various kind of carbon nanostructures, semiconductor materials, and various kind of 2D materials. And I'm trying to engineer them and to change their optical, structural, and electronic properties to understand their charge transport properties, and also apply them in the area of energy and environmental application. The another thing which excited me for this particular domain was there were several TV programs in India. One of them was Nano Ki Duniya, which Professor B.R. Mehta from IIT Delhi used to deliver lectures in that TV program. That also created my interest in this particular field, and I could see there is a good potential, good connect of this field in every application, every sector we talk about, be it biomedical or healthcare or energy, environment, you name the area. Materials, they are the base. They could be used as a base in that particular application, and we could achieve very exciting results. We could develop very exciting technology around these materials. So I started, like I said, when I joined, I started working with the carbon-based nanostructure, carbon-based materials. I started this work with two of my master's students who joined my group for their thesis work for a period of 1 year. And we developed the materials, carbon dots, which are like new member of carbon family. We did engineer this material in terms of their optical characteristics. We developed various kind of plasmonic nanostructure. We demonstrated a new process of using these carbon dots to synthesize these gold, silver, or copper nanoparticles directly. And then not only synthesis, we also demonstrated their uses in various kind of application. One of my research interests in the early days when I as a researcher was in the area of developing the material, developing the processes, and also the systems around the water pollutant detection. So my interest was more into developing the solutions which are affordable, which can be used in field, which are deployable. And that's the reason I inclined my research in this particular direction. And being from an institution which is interdisciplinary, in a sense, we have the faculties from different domains. So I got an early exposure to work in an interdisciplinary domain, to work with the people from different background, so that I could translate my fundamental materials or the processes which I develop into the products or system which can be deployed into the field. As a result, I started developing these optical sensors and colorimetric sensor for various kind of inorganic pollutants present in the water. So just to give an overview, see, this is the work which I did with my trainee students, and we could develop a very new probe. We demonstrated for the first time the detection of one of the inorganic heavy metalloids, selenium, which is a major problem in the Punjab area. So the point I want to convey here, that when we started working in this particular area, we decided we saw the local problem in this particular region. So being from a Chandigarh or a Punjab Punjab area, we have actually seen from the ground level what are the problems which are existing, not just going by the literature which is available in the form of papers, publication, and patents. So it's important that whatever research we do, we try to connect it with the local problems, because then it gives you more success rate and also more reach to the local community or the stakeholder where you want to take your product further. So that's the reason we started working with the selenium, and we demonstrated for the very first report onto developing a new sensor material for its detection with very high sensitivity and high selectivity. I'm not going into technical detail of this particular work. One can go through the publication which is listed over here at the bottom. Likewise, we started developing, we started with the selenium, then we started developing a solution for the arsenic detection, the fluoride detection, which is a major problem again. Arsenic is a major problem again in Punjab and also West Bengal. Fluoride is a major problem in Rajasthan. And you could see that we started with the local problem and then we developed the system. So, because of that, working as a part of an interdisciplinary team, we could translate this technology to one of this industry and who is doing this manufacturing and also scaling of this particular product. And one learning that I had while doing this, while get engaged in this research development and system development was when we reached to the stakeholder, we realized that the acceptance of a low cost solution is more in the community than the high cost solution, which are comparatively good in a lab kind of environment or in kind of water testing labs. So that made me to rethink my ongoing research work and redirect my research effort in the direction of developing the affordable solution, which could be used by the common user directly. So I started working in the area of developing color-based platform for this detection. And likewise, like I said, developing the material, developing the platform for the detection, and then integrating them with the devices to make them more user-friendly, to make them more IoT-enabled, so that we do generate the data also, where testing is done, when testing is done, what is the performance, how is the evolution of the parameter where the testing has been done. So as a result, like if I give you an overview, we developed a very new method, a new process to detect the arsenic in water by a carbon-based probe derived from a very cresol dye. And this probe can detect the arsenic by a single step, which is otherwise multi-step for various kind of color kind of platform or kits which are available in the market. We have done for pardon?
Ma'am, it's 22 minutes, so yeah, please
I'll wind up first. So to give an overview, so see, we not only develop the material part, so we also develop the product around it. So my message which I want to give, like in the early establishment of the lab, is to work best with the resources available and also try to collaborate or build networking, and try to, depending upon what is your interest, what is your research aptitude, like if you're product oriented or a fundamental research oriented, have an interdisciplinary domain so that you can come up with the products which are of really relevance into the from the stakeholder point of view. So I will not go quickly onto the another domain. This is my another area which I am working on. I started in 2015. I started working in the area of this catalysis. The reason behind working the catalysis was that when I had an interaction with the stakeholders, the one problem which statement I get to know from them is to, you are doing the monitoring. So what about the treatment? What about the energy? So then I started in thinking in that particular direction to develop the solution in generating the hydrogen from the polluted water or wastewater where we were doing the detection. And so that we also develop their treatment solution and also generate energy out of it. So this is an area which I'm currently very much working. My group is currently working it. In this particular domain. So these are several publications my group has published, when you can go through it in detail. I'm not going here. So these are some kind of materials, some kind of products our group has developed in the direction of catalysis, where we developed several catalytic material for green hydrogen generation, this catalytic material for indoor air purification. So this product basically for indoor air purification, in COVID times, we realized that catalysis could also be integrated into the SARS-CoV-2 deactivation as well as indoor air purification, and we did develop this wearable PAPR device. And this product is now at clinical trial level. We are working with one of the hospital, PGI Chandigarh, for the clinical acceptance of this particular product. So this is to give you an overview how I started. I started with my trainee student and how I could slowly establish myself, and I could develop not only fundamental knowledge, and I could also develop the products around my research domain. As early career researchers, it's also important to to establish the lab. It's important to bring the projects, so that you can run your lab, actually you can fund your research. So I was fortunate enough that I could bring some projects, and I had a very keen interest in the science outreach also in the beginning itself, because I myself is in the field of science because of the programs I attended, the news columns I used to read. So I had very much inclination towards science outreach, and I executed several research science outreach projects. I created several infrastructure for conducting the research, which my group is doing through various internal or external funding. One of the important parameters is having international exposure. Like I had an international exposure through ACS travel grant, through BRICS, through WARI fellowship, IU Indo-US WARI fellowship. So these are various opportunities I could get very early, and that helped me also build my network. So this just a glimpse of the visit I had. And this is one important aspect which many as a researcher we feel, that is the connect with the science outreach. I feel this is also very, very critically important, because you could get to connect with the society, with the school students. You get so many ideas, you get to learn many things, and also you can identify the direct relevance of your research when you discuss with them. You can even inspire more students to choose science as a career, which is very much important. And through the science outreach also, I could get to connect with many people. I could build several networking also. So not only school students, I tried to conduct several programs for the UG PG students. That did also help me to attract good students in my group. So through this program, I could get good PhD students also who reached me, who followed me, and who are currently working as PhD students in my group. So this just a glimpse of the recognition because of the efforts I could get from my school, even from my college level, even by the Chief Minister of Haryana state, where I do belong. And I also had an opportunity to interact with my Science and Technology Minister. And our research work also was covered widely by various media platform. So to give a view, I started with the one of few research papers when I joined, and through the available resources, I tried to do my best and excel. And this is where I'm trying to do best even in today, keeping a positive attitude. That's very much important in the life, not only just as a researcher, otherwise also as a person. So this is some overview of the early students which were there in my groups. Most of them were the trainee students. And this is the 2 PhD students who graduated from my lab. The only message I could say that whatever students you have, work with them, inspire them, train them, and you will definitely get a good output from them. So this and also having a good support system in terms of your family, and having good networking, having good mentors. That's also very much important early in the life, especially as a research career. So this is my last slide. So the take home learning in establishing the research lab, a good basically a successful research lab, that you get a directional work, you should have basically need to follow 3 P's in the STEM. One is patience, passion, and perseverance. That's very much important. And then there is no substitute of hard work that you need to do. If you have to come out of your comfort zone, try to work with the available resources, try to work in a team, work in interdisciplinary domain, build networking, be open to learning and also be open to criticism. There is not that you always get positive things. There is always criticism is also all around into the system, but be open to it. Try to imbibe what positive you can take out of it, and also do acknowledge the help, do build your support system. So these are certain important things for especially for the girls who wants to pursue research career in the field of the STEM. So with this, I would want to say one last message that we do celebrate various international women who have contributed in the field of STEM, like Professor Marie Curie, who is the winner of 2 Nobel Prize, only women who won 2 Nobel Prize. But it's also equally important that we also celebrate our, women of our country who have contributed in the context of that particular, our context, and they could do best in that time. In India, we have very many examples who contributed in pre-independence era and also contributing now. So it's also equally important that we make our current generation, new generation, to apprise them about their contribution, also celebrate their success. So with this, I would like to thank organizers for giving me an opportunity, and I'll be happy to take the questions if there are any now. If there are any further question, one can contact me through media or social media platform, or they can write to me directly. Thank you very much, and sorry for taking extra time.
No, ma'am. It's lots of achievements, so it's obviously take time to elaborate. Thanks, ma'am. Rohini, ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, ma'am. So we go for your presentation, and 20 minutes presentations for you. Soma will introduce about you to the audience, and with the ma'am, the last will be your presentation. Okay, Soma.
Yes, let's go. Okay, so it was a very lovely, wonderful, and very informative presentation from Dr. Pooja. So we are moving on to our next topic, which is research opportunities at the undergraduate level by our next guest speaker, Dr. Rohini Garg. She is currently an associate professor at the Department of Life Sciences, Shiv Nadar Institution of Eminence. She did her master's in plant molecular biology from Delhi University South Campus, followed by PhD from National Institute of Immunology, New Delhi. She then joined NIPGR, New Delhi as Inspire Faculty Fellow before joining her current institute. Her group works in the area of plant genomics, transcriptomics, and epigenomics to understand gene regulations with a focus on understanding the DNA methylation modifications and their effect on gene expression during abiotic stress responses and development in plants, and so much more. She is a core committee member of INYAS, that is the Indian National Young Academy of Sciences. She received the Women Excellence Award, ACRB WEA, from the CSIR Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, March 2017. She was the associate of Indian Academy of Sciences, IASC Bangalore, from 2016 to 2019. She received the Young Scientist Platinum Jubilee Award 2014 from the National Academy of Sciences, India. Before that, she received the Indian National Science Academy Medal for Young Scientist in 2014. She received the Innovative Young Biotechnologist Award in 2012 from the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. She received the Inspire Faculty Fellowship in 2011 from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. We are very happy that you are here today, Dr. Rohini. The platform is all yours now.
Thank you so much, Soma, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me here. Good evening, everyone. So today I'll be talking about research opportunities at the undergraduate level, and I'm actively involved in with the students for the opportunities for the research at the undergraduate level. But before moving on to that topic, I'll quickly introduce my area of research and my journey in the scientific domain. As has already been mentioned, I have studied throughout my career in different domains of life sciences, starting from my undergraduate degree in microbiology, my master's degree in plant molecular biology, followed by PhD in immunology, where I worked on Salmonella typhi vaccine and its interaction with immune cells, followed by my foray into the area of utilizing next generation genomic sequencing technologies for various aspects of plant growth and development, for which I also received the Inspire Faculty Fellowship Award before moving on to Shiv Nadar University to start my independent research career. I am also very actively involved in science outreach activities, and I was a member of INEAS and now an alumni of INEAS, and was a core committee member, and where we do a lot of programs for students at different levels, be it the school level, undergraduate level, graduate and postgraduate level, as has been discussed by previous speaker Nivethida as well. So just a brief introduction about what I'm trying to, what we try and do and understand. I work on chole chawal simply in science. So what we try to do in rice and chickpea or chole and chawal is to understand how they respond to the changing environmental conditions and how we can utilize the genetic variation that is available in the crop populations for better crops that can sustain these harsh conditions of the environment. Our focus is majorly two environmental conditions, which is drought and salinity. So we try to understand the growth and development of plants in two important aspects, as I have mentioned, that is the abiotic stresses and its effects on root and the plant growth and development, as well as the role of epigenome in seed development and how environmental factors contributes to differences in the seed development program in different chickpeas, different genetic species, varieties of chickpea. Another area of research in the lab is to understand gene regulatory mechanisms, where we try and understand the role of specific class of helicases or DNA helicases, and what will be the effect of these helicases, or what is the role of these helicases in plant development and abiotic stress. So before I start with the opportunities that are available at the undergraduate level, why should one, even try to do research or try to study research projects or do research projects at the undergraduate level? It is also it's like an investment in yourself, and there are key skills that you can learn through these research projects, which can be short-term or long-term depending upon the opportunities that are available. So first and foremost, research skill that you acquire is identify a research problem through your projects, acquire the technical know-how to perform or answer that research problem, acquire the analytical skills to through analyzing the data that you generate during the working for that research problem, and most importantly, you learn how to write your project, your reports, your experimental design, your methods, etc. So you learn research writing skills. You understand and learn how to troubleshoot simple steps in a scientific process. You also learn communication skills, not just through the writing, not just the writing skills, but also oral communication skills in the form of giving presentations or posters that can help you in understanding the research problem better, and that can help in connecting your science with the audience. In addition, you also learn people skill, or how to work in a team, which is a very important skill in a scientific domain, because as we all know that science is a collaborative effort and you need to work in teams at various levels. And this is another important skill that you gain during your internship or summer research projects. And most importantly, as everybody is trying to say that it is very important to build networks, you start building your networks through doing those research projects in different areas and different institutes, and hence you can continue to grow your networks later in your academic career. So it becomes an initial platform for building your networks across entire country or across the borders as well. Few of the examples I would like to give, which which you can avail for your research projects. One of them is the SHE's program, which is given by the DST Inspire program, where it gives the scholarship and mentorship for bachelor's and master's level students to perform research projects at their undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Inspire scheme is also available for school students and the PhD and postdoctoral fellows. But for the sake of time, I'll not go into details about these two projects, these two areas or avenues of Inspire. However, the bachelor's and master's program one can avail through their institutes, and it's a very good opportunity to get the research exposure, while also getting the financial funding or support for your expenses during this, for the stay and the travel during these project positions. In addition to Inspire scheme, there are various there's one scheme which is available through different agencies, science academies. As we all know that there are 3 major science academies in India, which includes INSA, NASI, and IASC. So these 3 science academies offer summer research fellowship programs for both students and researchers and teachers. And these programs are available for students across the country, which involves, important point for applying for these fellowships involves a write-up. As Nivethida has already discussed the essentials of a write-up, you should also, try and understand how you can make up an effective proposal in the minimum words and or the word requirements that are there for applying for these fellowships. In addition, you also need to give the some references for your applications, and you can also talk to the people who are available for hosting the summer research fellows in their lab, so as to understand what kind of research is it that is being performed in that lab, which increases the chances of your screening of your application. You might also need to submit some reco letters, which can be through your teachers or your principals, etc. Another opportunity that is available for undergraduate research program is while you do your research, while you do your undergraduation degree. For example, our university, that is Shiv Nadar Institution of Eminence, has a 4-year bachelor's program in life sciences, as well as in other domains of natural sciences, including physics, chemistry, and mathematics, which allows a student to perform a year-long project, which we call as OUR project, or opportunities for undergraduate research, where students are required to submit a proposal, work on that proposal for a year, and later on submit a consolidated report and present their findings in the form of poster or a presentation. And this entire process helps the students to learn all those essential skills which we have talked about in the beginning of my talk. In addition, the student is also can do the research program through throughout their dissertation program, because since it's a 4-year program, you have the opportunity to do research in a lab and in the final year as a dissertation program. In addition, many labs are also open for summer internships, and since a lot of faculties are members or fellows of INSA or NASI or IASC, they can host summer interns in their lab for a period of 2 to 3 months, depending upon the availability of funding in the lab. And these are some of the undergraduate students from the university who also participate in various OUR and dissertation programs in our university. In addition to the funding opportunities that are available through academies, several institutes like ICARs and IITs do offer undergraduate summer research programs, where a student from various levels, as specified in the application portals, can apply. So a second year, for example, ICAR Pune offers a summer student program, which allows the students of 2nd, 3rd, or 4th year of BSc, BTech, or BE or equivalent degrees to apply for this program. They do have a cutoff of grades sometimes. And in addition, a student has to see the availability of the funding of this hosting this summer student program in the labs of different faculties. You also need to, identify your research areas and understand what kind of methods you can learn if you apply or you will be hosted in that lab, and how is it going to benefit your research proposal. And depending upon the institute, the program duration can vary from 4 to 8 weeks. That is 1 month to 2 months to 3 months. As during the summer break, during the summers you'll have break for 1, 2, or 3 months, and depending upon your and mutual consent between you and the faculty who host, you can decide on the duration of the program as well. As I have mentioned, that other institutes also offer the summer fellowship or undergraduate research opportunities. One of them is also IIT Madras. And I'm not saying these are the exclusive list. This is list of some of the institutes that do offer or allow the research exposure at the undergraduate level and host the summer fellowship, so that the student can also come and stay and is able to support their expenditure during this research experience. So, for example, the Summer Research Fellowship Program at IIT Madras allows the students of third year BSc, BTech, or BE degrees, or MA or MTech programs to be eligible for applying to these programs. At some places, they also do, these programs also do consider whether you have any other academic achievements, for example, of writing a paper or a seminar, giving a seminar, or any project that you might have executed, or any design contest that you might have participated. And I'll show you in my future slides how participating in a competition, design competition, helps students to get the relevant exposure and experience for applying for PhDs in various places as well. In addition, Olympiad exams scores can also be considered for few of the programs. In addition to the institutional programs, last 3 or 4 years back, SERB has allowed the PIs to have a separate section called Social Science Responsibility Budget in their projects, where a faculty or a PI can host a student for a research exposure in their lab during the summers with some minimal fellowships, which they can be supported through this budget. So you can also look into those labs which have SERB projects, and they might have the fund that is available through the SSR in their projects, and might be willing to host a student for their undergraduate research internships. This is another example of a research institute that also allows the students for summer training programs. This is CSIR-CCMB, where one can apply for this program through an online application, and the program is open for life sciences students specifically, because CCMB is a Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology from any university, college, or research institute. And it also gives some funding support for the students who are selected for the duration of the program. In addition to the various national funding opportunities that are available for undergraduate research programs, there are various international programs that are available. Since I work in the area of plant sciences, and I understood that major audience for Bioingene is plant science audience, I highlighted an application for Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship, or SURF, which is available through Plantee or American Society of Plant Biology, which also allows the students to come and work in any of the research labs in US, and also gives the funding support to the student as a stipend, as well as to the mentor or institution for funding the materials, and the travel support is also given for attending an international plant biology conference hosted by ASPB as well. So another example of an international research experience or exposure is IGEM competition. Now, IGEM is International Genetically Engineered Machines Competition. It has various avenues.
The audio is not coming. I think some issue with the audio.
Just a second, I'll just check.
Yes, now it's all right.
Okay, I might be a little distant from the computer. So, So iGEM is another opportunity, another portal where you can, learn undergraduate research through various means. It is not only necessary that you have to have a wet lab component for the project. The iGEM also hosts a design competition as well as purely data analysis competition avenues are also there. And it is open for various levels of students, for example, school students, undergraduate students, PhD and postgraduate students as well. And it has a very extensive screening committee for the project. So one has to find out a faculty mentor, 1 or 2 faculty mentors, labs where you would want to work for executing your projects, and you also have to list out the biological systems that you are trying to, with various requirements that might be needed for this. Now, these are some of the success stories of undergraduate research projects from my own lab. So, for example, one of my initial students who did an OUR and a dissertation project was selected for enhancing her skills, fully sponsored by University of Cambridge, Tigris, GCRF and NIPGR. Another student, Tanya, who also did an undergraduate research program, not necessarily in the domain where the focus of the lab is, but on a totally different new domain. And she was also able to, publish an article, a methods article in MIMB, and a general article for school students in resonance. And because of her presentation skills, communication skills during the project in the form of posters and presentation, she was also awarded for Best Poster and Presentation Awards. And because of these experiences which she has gained in publishing as well as presenting, that is her communication skills, she was awarded Darwin Trust Fellowship for PhD at University of Edinburgh. In addition, as I have mentioned, that iGEM is a great platform where one can also, work in as a team and build your team skills and communication skills and network skills. This is one of the examples where undergraduate students from different domains of sciences, not only restricted to life sciences, but also physics, chemistry, and mathematics, participated in this competition with us. And we have, and presented their work in the form of posters and presentations at both national and international levels, and have been awarded with best presentation awards. And most of these students are well placed for their PhD. So it's a investment which they have made in themselves, trying to learn different skills through these different kinds of projects which one can do at the undergraduate level. So with this, I would like to thank all of you for listening, and I would be happy to take up any questions. And I would like to thank all my students. So I have a huge group of undergraduate students working with me at various levels, be it at the OUR or at the dissertation level. So 4 of these are my undergraduate students, and 3 of these are my PhD. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Shoma, please introduce Deva ma'am, and then we are going for a common discussion round.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Dr. Rohini. It was very wonderful presentation. We are now moving on to our 4th or final presentation, that is by Dr. Veda Krishnan on the topic Career Navigation in Plant Sciences or Plant Genomics. Dr. Veda Krishnan is a faculty member at the Division of Biochemistry, ICAR, Indian Agriculture Research Institute or IARI, New Delhi, India. She holds an undergraduate dual degree in botany and biotechnology from Kerala University, as well as a postgraduate degree in biotechnology from CUSAT, in collaboration with Nanyang Technology University in Singapore. Her doctoral research on low-phytate soybean was a collaboration between BDU, Trichy, and ICAR-IARI. She completed her postdoctoral research training at the Whistler Center for Carbohydrate Research, Purdue University, USA, as a Fulbright Nehru Fellow in 2020. Her active interest is in enhancing global human health by contributing to food and nutrition research, biofunctional foods, and innovative processes. She is Secretary INSA-INYAS and Plante Fellow on American Society for Plant Biologists. She also bagged various prestigious Young Scientist Awards from organizations of repute like the DRDO, the Indian Society of Plant Physiology, the Society for Plant Biochemistry and Biotechnology. Dr. Veda Krishnan, we are very happy you're here today. The Bioengine platform is all yours now.
Yeah, thank you, Soma. And first, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you. It's a delight to join you all, and thank you for this invite. And I'm so happy to see my sisterhood, my friends, and the role models whom I also look up to. And congratulations, wonderful talk. Now let me share my screen. Yeah, is it fine?
Yes, it's working fine.
Yes. Yeah. So before getting into the topic, like we all my predecessors discussed on various angles, and my topic is career navigation in plant sciences. So I'm not focusing only on undergrad, but from undergrad, the master's, postgrad, as well as like PhD, and those who really wanted to pursue a research career. Actually, that's our main focus, because we want more youth into science and STEM disciplines. I will say STEAM discipline, that is science, technology, engineering, as well as agriculture and mathematics. So just to brief about my affiliation. So I am part of one of the largest and the oldest agri-research systems of the world, and that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research. As you can see, it is widely spread all over India. It's a conglomerate of more than 100 institutes, more than 70 state agriculture universities, directorates, research, and different organizations under ICAR. And there are 4 deemed universities under ICAR, and I'm part of Indian Agriculture Research Institute. So those who are not much known about ICAR system, let me tell you, this is the seat where Green Revolution was born. So every day when we work in the fields, actually we are really proud to work in those fields where, where the high yielding varieties were born, and these varieties actually bridged the food security and nutritional security in our country. So since 1906 till date, ICAR is catering the agriculture research, the education, extension, and research in our country. And most of the high yielding like cultivars that we see, not I think most, it's like all, because ICAR agriculture universities are also part of ICAR. So the agriculture contributes immense to the backbone of our country. In terms of new products, in terms of a new agriculture technological revolution that we see in digital, AI, and so on. So that is the main contribution, which I am not getting into the detail, but it's a wonderful place to work, especially for women scientists. As I can say that in IARI, we have such a gender neutrality here that more than 60% of the division is the headship is by women scientists. So it's a wonderful place to work, and also with a lot of immense application in our country. So as you can see, different varieties and different cultivars, biofortified varieties, and all are like every year we are releasing, and that is actually used up not only for the consumption, but also for improving the export potential of our country. In IARI, at Division of Biochemistry, it's a very small family. So we work on 2 different aspects. One is stress response and nutritional sustainability and enhancement. And I work in the nutritional sustainability group, and my group is called Food Matrix Lab. So here I just to give a glimpse of like what we do. We mainly work on 4 different aspects. As a biochemist, it's our interest to landscape the nutritional profile of different crops. So we, especially the niche crops of our country, which has not been explored till date. So we work on millets, we work on different types of like indigenous mushroom varieties, different pigmented beans, pigmented rice varieties. So we get into understand the nutritional profile of these. And once we understand that, then we try to metabolically engineering these pathways. As Soma mentioned, that we develop low phytin soybean. We are also trying to develop high quality carbohydrate rich cereals and pulses if possible. And along with that, we are also working on different processes which can improve the nutritional quality and bioavailability. So innovative processes that we can manipulate the food matrix as such, with an ultimate goal of product, because we work not only for farmers, but our stakeholders include the consumers, because we are working on food. So we are working towards developing biofunctional food, smart food, low GI food, vitamin D enriched food, and so on. So this is the team who's the wind behind all the outcome that we normally see from our lab. And in my topic, I thought, like, first I will make it clear that even though the title mentioned the career navigation, but most of time we get confused between career, job, and profession. So those my young folks who are listening to this particular talk, I think you have to be very clear. What do you mean by job? What does you mean by profession and career? So job is something that gives you a remunerative benefit, right? You can do any kind of job for a particular sustaining your life. But once you decide it into a career or a profession, actually that need a constant involvement into that particular subject. You have to get into the knowledge part, you have to polish your skills, and it is a long journey. So you have to be very, very, decide what career actually you want to choose. And then you can start with initial jobs, and soon then you can have it in a single direction. Like after completing your undergraduate degree, then in masters, you can very specifically get into the subject which has a particular ultimate interest in a particular career. And then once you get it, throughout the journey, you polish your skills one by one. That can help you in achieving to that particular career. So that is very important. And when somebody select a career or a profession, there are many things that come to our mind. Most of the time, students ask me, like, okay, whether we should take botany or biotechnology, which one is more demanding, which one like it's more like get job easily, or like which is more remunerative, lucrative, and so on. So it's all your goal. So according to your need, your importance, you can select whatever career you are interested. But I think if you are interested in research, the inner calling has to be that. Otherwise, it's not like what you can say, it is not a 5-hour job, like just like any normal job. So research is something that you should feel, you should have a passion towards it, because you have to go a long marathon in research. So that can only be done, that perseverance can only become if you really have that passion towards that particular purpose. So it's very important. So don't jump into any career. Analyze it. Now you have a lot of platforms. You understand your own skill set, and then you decide actually what you want to become. That is very important. And even if you selected a particular career, there might be different turning points in your career. A lot of opportunities might come in your way. And sometimes the loss of opportunity can also be a turning point. So that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You can accordingly move ahead. And sometimes these unexpected things can also get into your part of your career. And all these, puzzles at a time, then it joined together into a wonderful portrait one day. So all this experience, try to embrace it, and then you can redefine your career at every point. It is not necessary that I decided to become one, but throughout the journey, you are learning new things, and you can define. So that's why navigation is the right word, because at any point, you can change the track of your career. So today, I also want to give you some broad strokes on traditional career and non-traditional career, because this is the age of career combos. So you have a different skill sets. These days, there are different jobs that can cater your interest. So we will just brush upon on those non-traditional career also. And to start with, this is the traditional career map all of us have gone through, and you might be in some of this particular stage of this particular rough map, where after your 12th, then you decide to go either your medicine or engineering discipline, or in terms of like BSc, MSc, and then you get into PhD. And once you complete your PhD, then you get into the very narrow line of research. So this is the simple, or you can say the rough map that we see, and it is like a decade of study. Okay, so first you have to prepare yourself, like whether you can do that or not. If you are not ready, then it's better to move into a job or other kind of this thing, and then you can learn side by side also. But it's very important, before getting into that, you should understand that it's a very long process. And if you see, then you can refine it for a particular, like as a researcher. as my fellow friends like Rohini and many more mentioned, that every time in every gap after like bachelor's, master's and PhD, there are a lot of opportunities that is available in the form of fellowship, internship, training. So once you have made up your mind, then you can build up your CV accordingly. So as she mentioned that in the undergraduate time, you can do a project. Then once you do the project, in the free time, you can do some internship. And that's how you connect with people. When you connect with this fraternity, you get more opportunities. When you get more opportunities, it is up to you whether you are willing to take the opportunity. And once you're willing to take the opportunity, definitely you will dial up your activities and achievements in your career. And see, these days, a lot of competition is there. So you have to build your CV to get an international recognition. That is very important. And that is in your hand. We can only mention, we can only tell you, we can only picture you the opportunities, but to take it and to go ahead is your call. So it's very important. And I strongly propose reverse brain drain. So those, the talent pool that is abroad, we have a lot of programs to re-enter back to India. So these re-entry programs, career programs. So all these programs that showcase that these talents should come back to India, and we need that for the improvement of science in our country. So the traditional job sectors, you all are aware that teaching, R&D companies, like the industry people, the research, marketing, administration, bioinformatic or IT based, and publishing, content writing. These days, that is also a very important traditional industry that is booming up. And if you see the sectors for a plant biologist, because that is my topic and very specifically addressing that, agriculture. Definitely, if you are a botanist or have taken BSc botany, you have a lot of scope in agriculture. Even like these days, Ayurveda, Ayurgenomics, like medicinal importance are there. So pharmaceutical industry also need botanists for making formulations and so on. Agriculture and allied include aqua and dairy. So sometimes they need a lab assistant and other people who have experience in basic science. Then food, chemical industry, health, environment, waste management, education, like if you want to become a teacher, you can do the PGT and so on. And cosmetic forensics. So there are a lot of traditional sectors that is already there. So there is no limitation. Only thing is, according to your interest, these are just degrees. Okay, so we will discuss about that. So these are less hard skills. But the main attraction is the soft skills that you develop over the time. So we have to give a lot of importance on the soft skills also. And then you can actually fine-tune your career according to your interest. So especially those students who are doing your undergraduate botany or plant science or like basic life science courses, there are a lot of government jobs also for you if you are willing to do. So it includes like lab assistant, ecologist, geneticist, biochemist. So all these jobs have a remuneration of around 2 to 6.5 lakh based on the experience and your qualification. So it's a very good start if somebody wanted to get into this particular profession. Along with that, you can be, if you're very good in communication skill, you can be a consultant. These days, like a lot of international firms are getting into FAO, Melinda Gates Foundation. So many of the foundations are also requiring consultants, environment consultants, agriculture consultants, and so on. That's a very good opportunity. Then content writing. So if you have a very good skill in writing, definitely writing, editing, because publishing has become a big industry, as you all know. So analyst, educator, you can start your own YouTube channels. And because these days, I think every new like influencer and new career is booming up, mushrooming up day by day. So you can get into any of this based on your interest. So these are just to give you a glimpse of some of the career option. That is whether you, if you are building, you can adopt based on your education. So forest range officer, forestry, wildlife. So plant science have a very good connection with all these platforms. So you can also opt for these jobs. And if you're very good, like sometimes like some are very good in mathematics also. So if you have a keen interest in maths along with the plant biology, then you can get into modeling, systems, ecology, developmental botany, those kind of, research and as well as profession. So you can get into a research profile like a junior research fellow or a project associate. Then you can enjoy research, start understanding that. And once you like it, you can get into enrolling a PhD. And once you really enjoy that doing research, then you can decide that that is like cup of my tea or not. So it's always better to try, learn, and then decide rather than, vicariously saying that I'm not interested in this particular based on somebody's opinion. So that's what I always believe. So these are some other jobs that we normally see in private sector. So you can just go through all these like technician jobs, cytologists, very specific, agronomist. So at this level, they need a very broad understanding of the subject, and that's why undergraduate can be considered. But the moment the expertise is required more, then they very specifically call for master's or PhD, and that is also very important. So when we think about that, who are the recruiters? So when I checked for the last few years, what I could see is that IT industries are also good recruiters. But the thing is, like, definitely you are now deviating from what you studied, but it's all up to you. So they are definitely taking biology or botany students and training them for catering their interest. Ministry of Environmental and Forestry, definitely a lot of opportunities are there. TERI, the Energy Research Resource Institute, then Wildlife Protection Society. Well, if you can go through the website and then you can see what is the eligibility, then you can prepare yourself accordingly. That is very important. Then Biological Survey of India, Ayush, almost all the FMCG companies that you see these days, like food is a big market, it's a global trend, and a lot of opportunities are there for biologists in these domains. And seed companies, they are actually especially looking, because we are from agriculture, so we see every year like farm manager, then consultant. So many of our students, they are doing even agriculture management as a top-up course, and then they are getting into these kind of different international corporations. So a lot of opportunities there, just it's the time that you have to grab these opportunities. You can just go through very briefly. I will touch upon this 3 different aspects. One is like educational institutions, like if you want to really passionate about teaching, you can get into those domains. If you are interested in more a job rather than like a career profession, then you have a lot of options in government. Federal means the government sector, state and local sectors, in agriculture, health service, forestry. I'm not getting into all these details. You can read even the botanical garden, survey of different crops you can do, herbarium maintaining, zoo. So lots of opportunities in these sessions, and industry is also growing day by day. So it is not necessary that only biotechnologists get an opportunity, but even the undergraduate, like who takes the basic degree like botany, zoology, or life science courses, also get an equal opportunity. Even though sometimes biotechnology get an upper hand, mainly because of the curriculum prepares them more to deal with the industry. But if you're really interested, along with that, you can also get into internship with companies, and then you can train yourself accordingly. I think that will add up in your CV, and you can get better opportunities. If you're really good in communication and writing, definitely like publishing and content writing is also very, very lucrative and good industries these days. Then organic certification, like FSSI, they are doing a lot of programs for students, so you can undergo training and then you can become like food safety officer and so on. So lots of opportunities are there for a basic biologist or a plant scientist. I'm not touching about any of the internship and other things because it's already been covered. It's only regarding the career and the job aspects I'm touching upon here. And so I'm not getting into all these details, but I just want to touch upon the last topic, that is Agriculture Research Service, which I am also part of. So just like we know that we have a very prestigious service examinations in our country catered by UPSC, same way agriculture has a parallel service which is known as Agriculture Research Service. So initially it was like soon after masters, you are eligible to apply for this particular entrance exam, and once you clear that, you have an interview, and once clear, you are getting selected as a scientist in one of the, and appointed in one of the ICR institutes in our country. So it's a very, very, very very, what I can say, the early way into get into a research career. But now the limitation is actually you have to complete your PhD, and soon after PhD you can apply for this ARS. So Agriculture Research Service is very, very important, and I think those who are doing botany at least should try. Definitely, like, it is notoriously competitive, but I think like it's worth taking that risk. So now coming to the non-traditional career. So what I've seen, like many a times, even though we are interested in science, but half of our mind is in art, Some people are really interested in the creative side of us. So you can connect science and creativity. If you're good at it, you can have a career like Science Illustrator. These days, CSIR, DBT, they have the NGOs and the organizations like India Bioscience. They want illustrators. So you have an opportunity in job in that direction. Only thing is you have to dial up your skills in different softwares like Adobe Photoshop or design or CorelDRAW or animation kind of softwares. Because see, everybody wants to see data in a new way. And if you can do that, I think that will be more than interesting. And that is actually the key. So this is a very career combo. You can say that very much increasing. And globally, you have a lot of scope in this particular job. Then science communication, as I mentioned, now NISPER is giving PhD in science communication. So those who are interested in disseminating science rather than doing your own research. So it's your own interest. Then you can get into science communication. You can getting into the oral and writing part of it. So websites, digital writers, podcast, article, manuscripts, patents. So it's all based on your interest and what you are good at. I think that is more important. Then somebody has a natural instinct of understanding the law and more interested in science, then you can connect science and law, and then you can do some programs like diploma in international, IPR and intellectual property right and so on. I think that is also a big area, the patent and managing the patent officer jobs and so on. So these attorney and these jobs are not only for people who take law. So please mind that science graduates can also get into these particular jobs and positions. And if you have a natural marketing skill, definitely you can go for application scientist in R&D, product stewardship, if you're very good in writing, law and science. So these are called career combos. So understand your skill set and then try to match. So find the perfect key for the lock. And once you do that, I think then you can succeed in that particular career. So it's very important to understand more about this non-traditional career, because there the competition will be less. If you go for a traditional career, definitely like you are competing with millions. So try to be smart in finding your own niche. That is very important. Some other options are like data scientist, agribusiness management, entrepreneurship, agripreneurship, innovation scientist, research scientist. So there are lots and lots of opportunities, and you can get to know about these opportunities from n number of platforms because Google is on your fingertip. So only thing is you have to register in LinkedIn and other profiles, and then you can tag your skill there so that people can mine out and people can find and connect to you. And so visibility in the social media is very important these days, and that is the right way to connect and get into your career and profession. So just I want to also, because this is also, as I mentioned, that while making a presentation, be introspect ourselves. Like, when you get into a profession, like what really made me what I am today. So what I felt is like most of the qualities we imbibe during our school time. So the initial early time, like 0 to 5 years, or in the very, very initial, like the preliminary classes, most of the qualities that we require till date, like punctuality, appreciating others, hardworking, how to behave others, even though you learn to talk at the age of 2, what to talk, when to talk, where to talk, how to talk. So all these things we learn over the time. That's very important because people's skills are very important for a good leader. So I think in the early career that we learn, and then later when we complete our schools, we get a degree, we have our education. But along with that, we also learn some soft skills. We get confident, we give speeches, and our communication skill get better. We try to work in a team. So many things we learn over the time. And once you get a degree, we have that hard skill. And also we learn other soft skills. How, just like mentioned, how to work in a team, like how to run a lab, how to get grants, so many things we learn over the time. And still we are learning day by day, because when I heard my friends, like many new things, actually I imbibed. And I think these are the real life links and real life things that we learn day by day. And that will help you to enrich the experience and this thing. So don't think learning is not stopping anywhere. And it is actually a journey. It's not a destination. So you have to learn day by day and improve and to get a better version of yourself. So only for my friends who are really interested in research, who want to be a scientist or in career pursue as a research, please judge yourself whether you are curious, because it is very important. Something should excite you. Do you have that passion? Are you hardworking? Are you logical thinking? You have that scientific temperament or not, and whether you have persistence. So I think these are the foundation in your journey towards research and science. That is very important. And all the other things are like, like toppings that you can add. That creativity, your natural way of saying or communication and everything. That's our extra toppings. But this thing you have to analyze and find whether it is there in you or not. So it is very important to have hard skill and soft skills. So hard skills, as you can see, it is like the pizza base. It is just a degree. Hundreds of people have a degree, have a PhD. But what you have on this as toppings is making you unique rather than others. Okay, as mentioned, the organizers mentioned that this is also a platform to motivate you. So it's very important to learn soft skills more and more as much as you can. Learn logical thinking, problem solving, communication, how to be flexible, how to be adaptable in a particular situation. So all these things actually make you unique. And this is only by learning and skill development. And skill development can be done in two ways. It can be mentor-based. Somebody can groom you, or you can self-oriented. You can mentor yourself. You can do different courses these days, Udemy, Coursera, there are different. So there are like information is like an explosion. So, but you can prioritize your need and then you can, improvise yourself. That is very important. So time is most valuable and most scarcest. So you have to prioritize. You have to find your short-term goals, mid-term and long-term goals. And whenever you fix a goal, be smarter goals. Smarter means it has to be very specific, measurable, actionable. Actionable means you know what it is and what would be the outcome. And it should be very much relatable to you. If it is something very far-fetched, then if you're not connected to it, it is very impossible to achieve. And make it time-bound. And whenever you do it, after doing it, evaluate it and reward yourself. So when you reward yourself, you get a motivation to do it again. So this kind of smart goals, even if it is in the studies or even if it is in applying. So I will just share one of my personal experience in my life. What happened is like when I was doing my master's, most of my fellow friends were doing the dissertation in nearby institutes. But my interest was to fly out of my cocoon. But I'm from a very humble background, a middle-class family. For us, they cannot support an international grant or like they cannot support money to send me abroad. So my job was like, I think a whole semester, I used to email to all these, like those who are working in the interest, my domain, I was sending email to them. And that time I was not even knowing the magnanimity of big institutes like Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge. So I was just randomly sending emails to all of them. And then I got an opportunity from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, from where I got a waiver of lab bench fee and all, and I started my research career there. So it is very important to, decide what you want and then work hard towards it. And always give your best shot and don't think like what will be the outcome. So I think that should be the main gist that what we should focus. And as you all are the young researchers, India and abroad. So it is very important to be confident. You have to analyze and synthesize. You have to build upon that. It is very important. You have to be flexible because sometimes things won't go in your way. Dedication, hard work, set goals, prioritize, learn soft skills till the last breath. It's very important. Try to be a team, collaborate, never work in isolation. Be proactive, have your own yardsticks. You like don't judge others, don't compare others. Try to have your own ways to judging and like challenging yourself every time so that you can be the best version of yourself in the next. And there might be some stigmas in the environment. On the day of this International Women's Day, we know that there are stigmas, not only based on gender, might be the age, might be the subject. So there are many things, but I think you have to carve your own niche. It is not the science actually should lead. It is not the gender. So that's why only thing is be dedicated and work towards your goal. And I think at one time, at one moment, then the gender has no role in it. It is that your work that is speaking for you. So that is very important. And for all my like girls, students, and ladies attending this particular session, I agree that we are in the same storm, but not in same boat. Everybody has their own struggles, but we have to also believe that we have our own unique qualities. And every country has a different social fabric. We have to decide, we have to, care. There are a lot of weights on our shoulders, but still, if you have passion, then definitely, you can lean on others and you can develop that support system and you can go on. So leave your imprint not as a woman, but as an individual. That's what science demands. So the last, as it's a navigation, I want to say that don't think that once you select a career, that is your ultimate goal. You can take a turn anytime if it is no more exciting to you. And that's what I believe, because it is very important to have that passion towards your goal. If you don't have, take a U-turn, redefine your career, and age is just a number. Okay. So it's very important to navigate and redefine your career. Every career is a marathon. So you have to start running and then you will be reaching a particular destination. And every opportunity, grasp it as the first and the last opportunity. So then you can give your best shot. And to me, like, you have to be childlike, then you are unstoppable and unshakable. And I think that's what I believe. And that's I want to inculcate in my team in all the best that they do. So thank you. Here I'm stopping. So one size fits doesn't all. So you have to find your skills. You have to find what is best for you and then go for it. Yeah. Thank you. I'll be happy to take some questions if you have.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a great pleasure. And for your information, so in Bioengine, we also give importance to soft skill. And with the plant science webinar, we also time to time arrange the webinar on soft skill. Because as you said, it is very neglected in most of the developing countries' educational systems, but it is so important. And we have 2-3 webinars on soft skill, and in the future, definitely we'll try more webinars on soft skill. So it's wonderful. And for all the students, we have collected few questions. Dr. Tamina Islam will go for the short interview, and these questions are general, important, but in general. So any of you, please give some input on that. So we can go in that way, and a few questions based on your time, we can go for that. Soma, please introduce.
So we are nearing the end of our today's very power-packed and wonderful session that we are so blessed to have with us so many valuable insights from such wonderful people. So now we are moving to the discussion session. We have collected a few questions from our live audience, and we will discuss them in this session. And this session is being conducted by Dr. Tamina Islam. Dr. Tamina is the assistant professor at the Laboratory of Plant Breeding and Biotechnology, Department of Botany at the University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. She's a very highly valuable Bioengine member, and we are very happy that she's with us today. So, Dr. Islam, could you please take over this discussion session?
Yeah, thank you, Shoma. Thank you, Shoma. First, I would like to thank all the speakers. To be frank, if you see, we have a very nice group of people today to talk about different aspects of plant science and also some other skills. So first, we had Dr. Nivethida, who talked about the grant writing and also the postdoctoral fellowship writing and everything. Later on, we found Dr. Pooja. She actually talked about how to set up a lab whenever you have your grants, how to set up the lab and how to prepare yourself to be a great scientist. And she shared her journey through the process. On the third lecture, we had Dr. Rohini. She is a plant scientist, and also she shared her experience with us and also with the students and whoever listening to us. At the end of the seminar, we had Dr. Veda Krishnan, and she is focusing on not only about the research and also how to develop yourself as a great scientist and also how to overcome skills, various hurdles and also different kind of hurdles we had during our talk. So first of all, I would like to ask some general questions that we had from different students and also different scientists, especially if we focus about the women scientists nowadays. We are having the problem because we are today focusing on the women scientists. We are facing the problem, but in general, we'll talk about all of us, all the scientists around. So it will be a kind of discussion session. So I would like to throw a question, and maybe I will ask one of you, and later on we will take the opinion of others as well. So one question that is commonly asked by the students and also the scientists: what do you think about the biggest challenges? Although I can assume all the four talk that we already listened, we discussed about the challenges we have, but specifically, I would like to ask Dr. Nivethida if you could explain, or if you could share your thoughts about the biggest challenges that are faced by the women in science today.
So, okay, so the thing is, I'm not sure what exactly where to start off with. I think we've been discussing this almost every year in March, but unfortunately we are only still discussing. So so to me, if I say the biggest challenge for women in science is I think lies within oneself. So many studies, many people have clearly said that compared to men, it's inherent within women to even underestimate how much you can do. So when you look at applications, it's very recently. So there was a call for just women scientists for jobs, and it happened that these applications are equally good as male applicants. So these applicants could have been selected even in when it was in a general competition, but then they never came up. So which meant that the applicants just did not think they were deserving enough for the same position when they were competing with men. So inherently, I think that underestimation of one's potential lies within women. As we are more modest and we don't like to showcase what we have achieved, and I think that needs to change. So if you think that maybe I'm not good enough, you always have that self-doubt. That is one thing. Second is that is, I think, one of the most important. That includes me as well, because I've gone through this, and many of the other speakers also. I think we've discussed this several times when we have met at different meetings, and I think this is the first thing that needs to be overcome. And second is changes that need to, the things that we need to pay attention to at home, in the family. Even if we are aware of all these gender stereotyping and everything, I think this unconsciously, the way we've brought up, I think there are things that just come up even without us noticing, or we don't even really mean to have done something or said something that way, but it just pops up. It's very important, I think, for us to think and consciously make sure that, or be aware that, this gender stereotyping does not exist in our homes, and that I think we need to really think about at home first, and then in the work environment. I think the rest I will leave it to the others to cover. I should not be talking about everything.
No, that's true. And you raised a very good point, like the self-doubt. Like I also feel the same. Like we always have self-doubt on us, whether we are equally capable with the men, like we can do the same or not. So I would also like what you feel actually, like Dr. Pooja, if you could answer the question, like when you just thought, like sometimes we are compared with the men, and always just Dr. Nivethida shared, there is an open position and men and women equally, they are capable of doing the job. But most of the time, women used to ask the question whether you can give enough time or not, because you have to manage the home as well. So what do you think, how to overcome that challenge, like how to face those questions, and also at the same time prove that you are not really, you need not to ask that question because you are capable enough to attend this interview or any kind of position. What do you think about that?
First of all, I totally agree with Nivethida, what she said. I think self-doubt, self-esteem, lack of self-esteem in we as a women is one that stops us to achieve whatever we want to achieve. It's not just only STEM, any field you talk about. So once we have that, the reason probably would be the way we are raised in our society. Like we are expected to be modest, and we are expected not to praise ourselves, rather to get praised by others. So so that's the reason probably, and it takes time for someone to get out of that training you get as a child, like Veda said very clearly. So the way you are trained in your early childhood, that affects a lot your thinking, your working style, your opinions, many things depends on that. So the socio-cultural change, probably it will take long time, but definitely we can do our part. Like as a mother also, like you said, as a conscious, unconscious bias, how we raise our kids, we bring the conscious things, and we bring that, there is nothing like men and women. It's all like as a human, that is more important. As a human, both have equal aspiration, both have equal capability. So how we bring that thing in our in our kids, at starting from our home itself, that will bring the social change definitely. But in terms of cultural, your workplace, or accepting the challenges, that is something one has to work on their own. So no one can work for you. So you have to work on your own for to overcome those challenges. But definitely institute has a role to play. So where the role of academies, role of leadership comes into picture. And taking up like the question you asked me, that handling both, taking up the family thing and taking also the equally challenging job at workplace. It is possible definitely at this point of time, like until unless we have that kind of equity which comes into our society, for which we are striving, like for which we are celebrating this International Women Day. What we can do, we as a women can build a strong support system around us. It could be any kind of support system, from the family, from the colleague, from the friends, from the external support, whatever it can take. So if you have a passion, you have aspiration, as a human also, you want to excel in something, so you can definitely build that system. So I don't think it's all the, I could say it's a challenge, it's in your mind. So if you come out of it, everything is possible.
That's the thing. I completely agree with you. At the same time, you're talking about the support, like to build a support system within yourself and also your colleagues and surrounding people, so that you can really communicate with each other, so that you can share your thoughts. So people can also make a belief on you that everything is possible by everyone. It's not a problem. Talking about the support, I would like to talk about the collaboration right now. Like as a female scientist, and also let's just put the words away from like scientist. I will talk about the scientists also only. So think about, as a scientist, do you face any challenges on how to collaborate with other scientists, and how do we approach, actually, Dr. Rohini, if you would like to answer the question, like how to collaborate with other scientists from your side?
I think for collaboration, most important thing is networking, as everybody has said. Attending conferences, which I think is one of the major hurdles which I have seen, in women scientists, because they are not very keen to, travel, because traveling does include, time management or taking out the time for that. So I think having those facilities for women scientists for these conferences and networking opportunities, more networking opportunities, helps in establishing good collaborations. And I think for collaborations, mutual interest, that again comes with networking opportunities that are available through conferences. So one needs to attend these networking meetings through conferences or meetings other than conferences, like one-to-one institutional visits, and also traveling support and the support for childcare, as well as what I have seen in a lot of women, again, as Nivethida said, is a self-doubt. And again, this self-doubt is not only limited to applications for academic positions. These are also is clearly seen in applying for various fellowships and funding opportunities. For example, international travel applications, if you'll see, very less women scientists again apply for these schemes. So I think having that system and applying for these helps us in getting to talk to a lot more people where we can find mutual interest and can establish collaborations.
Yeah, that's true. Like attending seminars and everything, scientific talks, mostly women faces the challenges to, handle the family. And also the reason it's completely valid that you have to really, keep everything behind you so that you can travel and also collaborate and talk. Networking is very important, but most of the time you face challenges regarding that. At the same time, when you write a project and also running a project, that is also very important at the same time, because you are sometimes handling PhD students, master's students at the same time, and also your collaborators. Not only that, the grant providers, often they ask for the seminars, and also, once I remember Dr. Snehalata from ICGB, she was talking to me and she told me, Tamina, how do you feel right now? Because when you are a student, so I was there as a student and now I'm a PI as well. So she was telling me, how do you feel right now? I said, no, I don't enjoy the thing. She said, you see, now we are on the same side, before you are on the other side of the table, you don't have to face the collaborators and also the grant providers and everything. Now you have to face all the things and also at the same time manage the lab. So it's quite difficult. And also the writing. Today we had a, a very nice session regarding the fellowship writing, grant writing and everything. At the same time, we have to write our publications as well, which is not as simple as it is, right? We always thought, okay, people are writing and everything, they are publishing, but it's not that easy. So how do you really suggest the student about the writing? I would like to ask Dr. Veda, if you have, because you gave very nice, neat and clean direction to the students, how to build up in few years after passing through the their BS career and everything, and you focus how to develop themselves. So what do you talk about the publication writing and skill development on that side?
So before getting into that, I just want to go back to the first question, the challenges that you mentioned. And when Nivethida said, I really loved the tagline, one of my role model, Indra Nui, said, I can also do a damn good job. I think all women should have that feeling that, I am not more or less than anybody, but I can also really do a good job. I think that is also very important. And we just mentioned, I just want to say 2 points, that having more role models is also very important in the society. And I think a platform like Bioengine showcasing the career of youngsters like us, actually that will be also very motivating, and many more girls also can see, in future, after a few years, you can connect very well. So after a few years, we can also be there. I think this is also a very good way to get more women into the workforce. Yeah. So coming to the question, what I do with mentor-mentee dynamics is different. And I don't think there is any gender specificity in it, because I have seen wonderful women mentors and as well as wonderful gentlemen in my life. So, but only thing is, a mentor choose you. It is not like you go and choose a mentor. So whenever somebody sees a potential in you, they choose you and then they groom you. Sometimes it becomes a grinding as well because of the Indian stigmas and systems, but that's fine, because overall the journey you are learning. So for my students, actually what I request them is start writing, because see, the thing is that starting is actually, that is the key. Finishing line, definitely it will take time. So in a manuscript, from draft 1 to draft 10, I think everybody will resonate with me. It is not a few months thing. It will take time. But I request students every day at least write 250 words on the topic. If we plan something, we chalk out a plan, we had a table of content ready, then I request them to at least to start writing. Because when you start writing, then actually you open up your mind, then you think about, then you understand the need to read also. So I think only thing is you can motivate, you can groom, then you can give opportunities to them. You know, you can just give them like a small popular article initially so that they can start writing for you, and slowly they can get into. Nobody can start aiming a very high impact factor, because it is also a skill that you learn over the time. And I think that's what you can do. You can handhold your students throughout, and then after, once they prepare the draft one, I always feel it is with the mentor that it gives a direction and getting into where he or she aims to in a manuscript thing. So, but only thing is like practice. That is the key. There is no shortcut for publication. You have to practice, and you have to keep on, like it is like every day you have to remind and you have to keep working on it. And as a woman, you have very less time. So that is actually the main key, because see, being a daughter-in-law, wife, mother, lot of weight on your shoulders, and the career graph and your work graph is total conflict. You know, in the early career, you have kids, and so you don't have time. But then prioritize your things, and then slowly take step by step. Then take collaborators, supporters, and then share your work. So INEAS is a wonderful platform where we collaborate and we share our publications, we share authorship. I think that's how we all grow. So together, everybody achieve more as a team. And I think INEAS showcased that as like better than any other academies, I think, in the world. That's what I believe. So yeah, only thing is you have to be with your students, and then you build a supportive sisterhood and supportive team, whoever it is in your team, and then go towards your ultimate goal. Yeah, that's what we can do.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I always feel the same, like, you know, like you have to build a very good networking system within the your co-workers. That's the main thing. And, you know, like for last 2 years, 2.5 years, I would say, like last 6 months, we are more or less okay, because Corona situation is right now quite normal. Like we are traveling, we're talking to people. And at the same time, before that 2 years journey was quite bad for us, not only like not for networking, at the same time, you know, like whatever we have, like in my case, like all my students, they were depressed. They were not really handling this pressure because they are not passing out what they will do, because 2 years are just going from their life. And also at the same time, all the experiments, we have just lost everything. You know, like you have to start from the zero. So on that time, I had to talk to my students very, very frequently, just to motivate them that everything is fine. And you are not the only one that who are facing the same. All of us, all the world, that we are facing the same problem. So all of you are scientists, and you are handling the students. So how to, you know, really motivate your students? Not only the women students, female students, or I'm talking about the general students, you know, like how to motivate them. Because as a women scientist, what I feel, we had some obstacles of how far we need to, you know, interact with the students as a female or as male student, and whoever, the boy or girl, like we have to face that. So they're just a student. But do you feel that we have some obstacles to interact with our students as a female scientist?
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think I don't feel there are obstacles being a female PI or a female scientist. I think it's an added advantage. Being a female, we are also, compassion is the one, you know, attribute we have, and empathy, that is also very much required. So I think we could connect better with students. That is what I feel, which probably I see that being as a female PI, my students probably share many things which they may not share with the male PI. So that may be an advantage. And I think definitely there is a fine line between the student and faculty, which you have to maintain, be it a girl student or a, you know, boy, it doesn't matter. So one fine line has to be maintained in terms of, you can say, respect or whatever you call it. But otherwise, getting them connected, motivating them, I don't think there is any specific obstacles with the female PI. That is my opinion.
Dr. Rohini, do you have something to say?
So I would say motivation, you know, it's for motivating students, I find that, you know, sending them to conferences for posters or presentations helps them to motivate, because they not only, get the preview of their work, but they also see what else is being done in that scientific domain. And I find that is very motivating for the students. In addition to, conferences and meetings, I think sending them for workshops or skill enhancement is also an important aspect which a PI should be, looking for motivating the students, because again, it helps them to get the confidence that is required for finishing their work. So that would be my mantra to motivate students, in addition to obviously constant mentoring and talking to the students.
Yes, one time I feel like one of my students was sharing one thing with me, like she said in some other lab, she said one of the students, she did an experiment that was not going well, like it was just wrong experiments and everything. And that student was so afraid to discuss with her supervisor, because she thought maybe it will not be a good thing to discuss, or just to hide from them. So that's why connecting with the students, interact with the students is very important, so that in sometimes I say to my students, you are just, like if some experiment just gone wrong, that means we are just losing some time. That's true. And at the same time, some chemicals, that doesn't harm anything. But if you hide the thing from us, that in future, maybe we will know something more important. So don't be afraid to discuss, afraid to interact. So it is very important, as you say, Dr. Rohini said, that interaction with the students, continuous motivation, and also Dr. Pooja emphasized to talk and discuss with each other. That is very important. I have a very specific question to Dr. Nivethida, because some of the students, like they want to ask, like on your field, like they ask the question from the YouTube, they say, like, what career options are available for them to after with their degree, like as a scientist and as your career, what specific career options they have?
In neuroscience or in general? I didn't understand.
They say, okay, yes, as a neuroscience, and also they ask, like, let me focus. Yes, they say, other than, like on research purpose, what subject or topic they can really do the research on neuroscience specifically, which is the blooming condition right now.
Okay, so neuroscience as such is multidisciplinary. So so you can have any background, from say economics to botany to psychology to computer science, or mechanical engineering. So there is room for everybody with any kind of background to pitch in to answer questions about the brain. So you can do computational modeling, or you can do cellular biology, molecular biology, you can do evolutionary neuroscience, or do hardcore so clinical neuroscience. So it doesn't really, or build systems, prosthetic systems for say any kind of system, neural system, so visual or auditory or anything for that matter. So the field being completely multidisciplinary, and the thing is, one person cannot give solution, or one discipline cannot give the entire solution to a problem in neuroscience. That's the real the best thing about it. So say for example, I used to work at the National Brain Research Center, and they have a master's and PhD program in neuroscience, and they take in students from any background. So we did have students from botany to MBBS to BTech computer science students at the undergraduate level, who go in to do a master's in neuroscience, and they get trained from cellular molecular biology to computational neuroscience. And we've had, just the last year, there was a student from after BSc botany who did a master's in neuroscience and computational neuroscience, and then went over to do electronics microfabrication in a lab at IISc. So the thing is, it's not really restricted. So you have the freedom to switch, like Veda said, from any aspect of any background to work on any other aspect of neuroscience. So it's not really restricting or limited. The scope is really broad, and there is demand for every kind of expertise to pitch in and contribute to the field. So that's the beauty of it. So in my lab, I do have people from molecular biology, from microbiology to computer science to electrical engineers who work with me. So it's very diverse. So, and the career options are also diverse, like I said. So you can go into designing prosthetic systems, or you can go into AI, artificial intelligence, or you just do hardcore research, systems research, physiology or anatomy research. So that's also possible. So yeah, so that's basically.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nivethida. I will like to ask the last question, but I would like to Dr. Veda to answer, but would you please, all of you, could compliment on that, like just to add your thoughts on that also, because some of the students ask the question, like how to present themselves as a potential employers, including writing a strong resume and also the cover letter. So Dr. Veda, you can answer the question at the same time. If anyone can just add on that, like what kind of potential they should have or show in their resume.
Yeah, so considering like when I see myself as an employer, okay, so most of the time like we request for research fellows and those posts. So the way you first try to contact, the first connection that you try to develop, I think first impression is the best impression. So if you don't read about the background of the employer and don't understand what the project it is, you're just simply writing sir/madam, and just mention, sometimes even you don't do any salutation, you just attach your CV and just simply say, I'm interested. So I think like we have to fine tune these kind of skills. It is very important. Okay. And according to country, it is different. So even we have to customize it accordingly. So how to connect and how to reach up to your employer is very important. So I am telling about as a research background. So most of the time when we get students, these kind of responses. So please, students, at least you did a basic background. No need to get into detail, but at least you should get into the basic aspect of it, understand a bit at least, and then you try to contact. I think that will give you a better, approachability to whom you are contacting. Second thing is understand what is the requirement of your particular profile that is requested. It is not like once you prepare your CV and you can send it for everywhere. No, you have to customize it according to the need. Sometimes it could be an industry, sometimes it could be a research post, sometimes it could be something else. So please understand that, spend some time, because your hard work can be seen in the CV. And we are seeing it regularly, so we can very well clearly understand that who has given so much of importance or not. Please avoid mistakes, spelling mistakes, and not properly aligned CVs, because most of the time students actually, they don't think, but these have actually impact, because that shows what kind of a person you are. Okay, if somebody is very dedicated, somebody is very focused, we can understand from that CV. So try to give that, if you are not like that, at least try to give that kind of a feeling to your employer. That is very important. And if they ask you some kind of write-up, try to invest some time, do some research, and have an originality or novelty in whatever you do. Because sometimes what I see is, initially we screen the CV, and if the CV is good, sometimes we ask them to give a write-up, and the write-up is good, then we ask for the interview. So that's actually different steps, because there's a lot of competition. So don't do plagiarism or copy paste and these things. Please put your own original rather than using very flowery or hi-fi language. We always want to understand that what you know about that particular subject, and you simply put in very simple words, but it should be original, novel. Whatever you are writing, that is very important. And once you are like selected for an interview or like one-to-one interaction, it's very important how you present yourself. If it's in a formal environment, how you dress up, the firm handshake and the eye contact that you give to a particular employer. I think that is the first connect that you are building, and it is very important. So be confident. And most of the questions, initial questions, a brief about yourself and this thing, you can prepare yourself and you give your best shot. That will give you confidence also. Okay, so once you prepare that, you give a confidence, you have a wonderful start. Because if the first question itself you mumble, then the whole thing goes. Most of the time we say like we have to take time for the students. We say, okay, please don't worry, it's okay, take your time and all those things. So be confident, prepare yourself. There is nothing called lucky. Only thing is you are prepared and the opportunity is right for you. So please be understand that and prepare and give your best shot, like you can't do better. And after that, whatever the outcome is, it is fine. So only thing is customized it according to the requirement of the employer, and whatever best you can do it, do it. I think that's what I feel you should do for any employer kind of dealing.
That's good. Dr. Pooja, do you have any suggestion?
No, I think Veda has mentioned all, but I would add some experiences to it. Like we do receive email even in bulk, like this many students, what they do, they put all the faculties into CC, where, and then they send a common email to all. So that is, I think, kind of a blunder. It means, yeah, if you get selected, it's like option. So your employer is an option for you. So don't do that. That's really, nobody's going to, I think probably that way, if you send, nobody's going to reply you if a good employer would take it that way. Second, in interviews, what I've seen, like the homework is one which students lack. Like whenever we do conduct interviews for PhDs or project staff, these students come up even unprepared. They don't even know the title of the project for which they are appearing. So, and so that is one, I think from there itself, you can start judging, okay, a student is serious or not, or dedicated, focused or not. So these are some kind of common mistakes which students do. Third thing, like it's important, the first impression, I agree, it's totally important. But many times I see the people who are from, you know, remote, low resource settings area or backward areas, they lack some kind of confidence, maybe due to language or, you know, the way, the kind of surroundings they have been there. So I think don't hesitate. You approach as a person, whatever language you know. So that is also one step effort, extra effort the student has to put, despite of what language, what background they come from. And that can also make equally good impression, despite of whatever language you know, whatever background you come from. So I think these are some three key points of suggestion I could add to what Veda just said.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja. Dr. Rohini, do you like to add something?
So I would like to add from the perspective of, you know, faculties, somebody who might be applying for a faculty position. I think it's important to do a background on the for the department where you are applying. So why you want to apply for a particular department or a school, then your skill sets, what is your academic and background and skill sets that you have obtained, and your future goal. So what will be your, you know, 5-year, 3-year work plan or research question that you would like to pursue at the place of your interest or at the place of your application, and what all things that you'll need from a institutional perspective. I'm saying these are the important things that one should look into before, you know, you start sending your applications. You should create your application in such a way that you try and address these questions in your mind and on paper before you send it across.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Dr. Nivethida, you're the last person to comment on it.
Yeah, so I think most of it is covered, but one more thing which I would like to add is something that but I and also many of my colleagues have looked for in candidates. It doesn't matter whether you're 75% or 80% in your marks, or 7.5 CGPA, 8.5 CGPA. Finally, what matters there is how genuine you are true to your CV, what you've written, or how genuine your effort is to get the position or to get the job. So if you're really genuine and your attitude is right, if you're willing to learn, so that is all what we look for. If you're honest about what you know and what you don't know, I think that will take you through. That difference of that 5%, 10% hardly matters at all. So that genuineness in the application, in the candidate, I think is something that we all look at as well. That is very important.
Yes, you are very right. You know, like sometimes I found students with very high CGPA, but I was not really happy with their dedication and also their work, but they have a very good CGPA. But at the same time, I found one student, she doesn't have that much of high CGPA, but she was clearly, like very much dedicated, and we published so many research articles from her thesis. So that is very important, dedication and also, like focus or his or her love towards the research and also to the skills. That is very important, very important.
Yeah, that willingness to learn
Yes.
will really show when you actually have even a short interview. It will clearly show.
Yeah, sometimes I tell my students, like when they are the students with very much high CGPA, they sometimes, not all, I would not blame all, but sometimes I think, like they always believe they know so many things, so they don't have that much willingness to learn new things. But the people or the students, they have a low CGPA, they're eager to learn because they want to fill them up with the new science and also the technologies what they have. So sometimes I tell my students, just leave out your, like CGPA and everything out of the lab and just come as a blank person so that you can learn something very new. So it was a very nice session with you all because I get to interact with you all. Probably in future also we will be connected to Bioengine and also in our personal networking as well. So I would like to ask Shubho if he has something to discuss with.
Obviously, it's a woman special. So thanks for everything. Thanks, Tamina. And yes, what we are looking for, everything I think covered. What is the importance of networking? Like is the examples that Rohini ma'am, we talked about that and we planned for it. So it's examples of networking, and thanks to you for other speakers came to know about the Bioengine. And I don't know about the views. I think it's more than 1,500 and such all, but just 351 application just submitted as a feedback for the certificate. From India, Pakistan, Philippines, Bangladesh, Fiji, Indonesia, Nepal, Nigeria, Cameroon, China, Iraq, Russia, Sri Lanka, Tunisia, Turkey, Uganda. So thanks everyone for participating in this webinar. And this is specifically here we try to bring one in a month for where the all speakers will be the women. And I request all of you, please give some connections to us where we can present and we can talk about anything than the plant science, obviously, because we are frequently arrange plant science webinar, and for the diversified audience, it will be very interesting. And thanks for your time, and we are looking for your future presentations in Bioengine. And I personally email all of you for the outcome of today's and impact of today's webinar in different people and what they thought and their feedback. Thanks to all of you. Yes,
Can I
yes, yes.
Yeah. So I just also want to thank you, and I think this is also a wonderful opportunity. Like, we are INEAS members, and INEAS can connect with you and also plan many programs in future, because we also want partnership to have a very global impact of our science outreach. And I think the ultimate aim is to connect science to society.
Yes. We have no problem, and it's free for all and open to all, and it's our passion, not our profession. We are actually researchers, so it's just from the passion we build the Bioengine, and we love to. If you guys are take care of our events, then it's very easy for me also to pressure of organizing each and event. And yes, I'm very lucky. Like, in our lab, I'm the only male. In my, I have a one GRF is a lady. I have two MSc dissertation. They also a woman. And in my colleague Namisha, Shima, also are women. So it's I know the power of women. So I appreciate. I congratulate. Yes, I know the problems you have faced, and obviously, and for interesting note, just yesterday night I asked ChatGPT what is the problem faced by women scientists. I got the 10 points, and all are the valid, and few points also covered in this session. So it's the international problem. Many audience also comment their outlook, how they face the problem in their job and all. And obviously, there are a lot of opportunity nowadays, which is for the come back to India, sometime break. After the break, you can join. I try to bring such person from DBT also, where they can promote their fellowship in bioengineering. So it's also give us some direct connections where we can ask, we can interact. And obviously, this is the beginning. And from all of you, it's a great start. And thanks to us, helping us to bring our new series is Women in Science. Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Tamina. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye. Soma, now stop the broadcast.